Well,
Yes,
thank you so much for helping my project. Could you say a little bit about yourself?
well, my name is Shashiraj Singh Gautam, and I'm from India. I live in Kanpur city, that is in Uttar Pradesh, and I'm English coach. And if we talk about my educational qualification, I have done Master of Business in Application in Business Economic. So that is a short introduction of myself. So
Do you have a
uh,
lot of students that are learning English?
yeah, I do have lots of students. I have students from all over the world, more than 25 countries. Students they join every day. They get English. They get taught by me.
I think one of the key things to learning a language is getting to talk to many different speakers and having conversations with them to start developing kind of the fluidity with that language.
Yes, of course. If we interact with many people every day, definitely we'll be having a lots of knowledge about the other country's culture, and we also get different kind of sentences in different ways to speak. Many
Yep.
times we learn different accents, which help us to memorize the people that from where he is. If we are listening, anybody is from Mexico and is using Mexican accent and is speaking English language, so we can understand that yeah, this person is from Mexico because we have already interacted with people from Mexico. The same thing happens like American and British. Yeah.
Or even even in British, there's so many different accents just in different parts of the island, and then in the U.S., so many different accents across the different states and everything too.
Yeah, actually, in countries there are different regions, and different kind of regions there is different accent. And if you come in my country and if you cross every 50 kilometers, you would get the difference of accent. Every person speaks in different accent. In my country, more than 250 languages are spoken, and Hindi is our native language. That is our mother tongue. Still, 250 languages are spoken. That's amazing things.
Yeah, my wife is actually Indian, and her parents and her they speak Sindhi.
Oh, great. So you could also speak Hindi. They must be doing conversation in Hindi language, and you might be listening your
It,
wife and her parents and relatives.
Tora Tora.
Okay, so we can talk in Hindi now. Thoda thoda.
Yeah, uh, आपका आपका नाम क्या है? You know, like
मेरा नाम शशिराज है. आपका नाम क्या है?
मेरा नाम नेतन है. आप
नितिन.
क्या
बहुत
काम
सुंदर नाम.
करते हैं?
नितिन, मैं इंग्लिश पढ़ाता हूँ और मैं गवर्नमेंट जॉब भी करता हूँ.
आप कहाँ से रहते हैं?
मैं इंडिया में उत्तर प्रदेश के कानपुर शहर में रहता हूँ. आप
And
कभी भारत आए हैं?
3 बार.
3 बार आए हैं. अच्छा, तो आप भारत में किस जगह पर आए हैं?
Kisjit में, what does that mean? Kisjit में.
ओके. किस जगह पर आप आए हैं भारत के?
Oh, where did I go? Um,
इन इंडिया.
I Yeah, I went Mumbai and Ujjain and Bangladesh, not Bangladesh, sorry, uh,
Bangalore.
Bangalore. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay, so Mumbai is the great place. It's a Bollywood industry. All the cricketers, most of the cricketers and actors, they all are living in Mumbai. बहुत ही खूबसूरत शहर है. और आप उज्जैन की बात करें तो उज्जैन तो मंदिरों का शहर है. और उज्जैन जो है काफी फेमस है. वहाँ पर महाकाल का बहुत बड़ा मंदिर है. आप शायद वहाँ पर गए होंगे.
Yes, and unfortunately, my Hindi skills aren't at the speed of conversation. They're more at the speed of trying to work some puzzle or something like that. I need a Hindi coach.
Okay, you don't need Hindi coach. Your wife is there to teach you. You can choose one day of week. Like in that day, everybody would be speaking Hindi, and your wife would be the coach, and she'll let you know how to speak sentences in Hindi, and that would be the great idea.
I'll definitely have to run that idea by her and see what she thinks. So my project is to interview a person a day till the end of 2024. And I was thinking this might actually be a good project for some of your students. They could arrange, sign up on my calendar to do a session um, and practice their English and also talk about a topic that maybe doesn't come up normally in their day-to-day conversation, which could be good practice.
Yeah, definitely. And I would be getting students, and I would be doing conversation with them that if they would be uh, definitely they would be interesting talking with you on your project you have mentioned, like moon in 2024. That would be great. And like listening about the topic more in 2024, it's amazing. And I was when I received the message from Huang that there is a project of moon in 2024, so I was curious to know about. I'm always try to learn, try to get the information about the space and moons and planets. And like I love to listen, I love to read the articles related to the space. So like you just tell me about your project. I'm curious to know about that.
Yes. So NASA is planning to send humans back to the moon in 2024. The last time we had humans on the moon was 1972, which was before I was born. And, whenever I tell people that, they can't believe it was so long ago. And I thought this would be a good chance to go out and find out what people think about us returning to the moon, what they think about the future of humanity. Do they see humanity branching out into the rest of the solar system and eventually to the rest of the galaxy and, to other star systems and things like that? Or do they really see humanity as only limited to the Earth? So I'm kind of curious on that point. And then also, I'd like to find out if people are interested in going to space themselves. If they had the opportunity, if it was safe and affordable, would they be interested or would they prefer not to? Some people are afraid of flying, and some people are afraid of other things, like rock climbing and what have you. So, uh, maybe the fear is there. But then also, a lot of people dream of, uh, being able to float, in free fall as you're orbiting around the Earth and being able to see the Earth from above. I kind of like, this is the view that you would see from the moon. The Earth would look like that.
Hmm.
It looks so small and fragile, completely unlike our day-to-day experience with the Earth. Um, so I think first off, let me ask you if you had heard that NASA was planning to send people to the moon in 2024.
Yeah, I have heard about that. NASA is looking for people who could move to the moon on 2024, but I don't have the exact information about that. I don't have more idea about that. So please tell me in details.
Yeah, so they're planning to send government astronauts to the moon. So these would be astronauts that NASA has already selected and have been training that would go. And the last time we went to the moon, we landed 6 times. Each was 2 people. They were
Mm,
all white men. And so this time they're definitely planning to send a woman in that first mission to land on the moon and try to also make it so that there's a lot more diversity in terms of the astronauts. So more people can see themselves in that group of astronauts that go to the moon. Why are we going back to the moon? Well, since the last time we discovered that there's actually water ice that's been frozen in these permanently shadowed areas near the poles. And water is fairly heavy, um, but is also something that we need to drink. You need it. Uh, you can break apart water into hydrogen and oxygen and use it for breathing. You could use it for rocket fuel, and so it has a lot of uses there. So if there is water ice on the moon and we're able to access it, it could greatly reduce the capabilities or the cost of doing other things in space. So now you could refuel, your spacecraft from resources on the moon. Also, there's lots of mineral resources on the moon that we could use to build structures in space. One problem that humanity faces is energy. We constantly need more and more electricity to run our computers, to power our cars, to heat and cool our houses. The sun produces massive amounts of energy, but only 1/700th billionth of that energy actually falls on the Earth. What if we could create these big solar arrays that we could put in orbit around the sun and then actually use that to capture more of that energy to be able to do things in space. Like we could eventually have data centers in space or manufacturing operations in space, but then also maybe we can beam that energy to Earth somehow. And we could build that orbiting structures using the resources on the moon, which would be much cheaper than sending it from Earth. So all of these are sort of um, the thoughts, and going to the moon in 2024 is just that first step.
Yeah. So whatever you have told about going to the moon and what all the things and what all the aspects we could get in the moon, and very first the people who are interested to go to the moon, they must be going through a kind of training program, as you have told that people are already getting training. So I just want to ask you that there is a one laboratory in the space, you might be knowing about that. The 16 countries are involved in that space laboratory. So that laboratory that provides the training to the scientists, those who go to the space doing research, so this kind of thing. So, and if a normal person, general person, if he is willing to move to moon in 2024, so at that moment how would he would be surviving over there? Because like the atmosphere and oxygen, as you told that we can break the oxygen and hydrogen. So like this kind of thing we can do, and by which we can make the water, right? So I think that NASA and government, it should provide all the facility, all the required facility like water or other eatable material which can be preserved for the long time over there in the moon. First to make the colonies and other important plants in the moon. And after that, there would be easy for the people to live for the long time over there. They could survive over there. But otherwise, like what would happen? Like definitely normal person could die. Yeah, it is the fear of everyone. Like yeah, if somebody, if like government or NASA would say to me that's I'm going to bring you to the moon, so I would also think about dying, that if I go there I would die, what would happen? So I should be sure about everything, that would I be getting all kind of facility, would I be getting oxygen over there or not, right? And water. So all these things should be should be mentioned with the evidence, as you told that there is a big ice. There was big ice of maybe like ice might be melting, or some other things will happen. So these kind of aspects are there, and there will be lots of expectations by the people who would be willing to move to the moon.
No, you're absolutely right. The moon is a very harsh place. There's no atmosphere, so you have to be inside a contained environment all the time. And anytime you want to go out, you need to have a spacesuit that has that contained environment in it. The moon has very wide temperature swings. On the side that's facing the sun, the temperature could be as much as like 200 degrees Celsius. On the face that's facing away from the sun, it could be as
Hmm.
cold as like 150 degrees minus Celsius.
Minus.
And so the moon rotates, every 28 days. So you only have essentially 2 weeks of permanent sunlight and 2 weeks of, permanent darkness. So in 2024, we'll be sending some highly trained astronauts to go there for a few days or maybe up to a week, and then they would come back. And we would probably send a new set of astronauts every single year, testing out new equipment and understanding the dangers more, with the goal in like 2028 or afterwards, being able to have more permanently occupied facilities, with the astronauts going there, spending a few months, and then coming back to Earth. So it may be quite a while before we have a situation where people can actually live on the moon. That might be in the 2030s sometime.
Hmm.
But we have so much to learn in terms of how to keep people safe, how to use the resources on the moon to help build out the facilities, and you know, uh, just so many things to learn. Radiation's a big problem too. The sun produces lots and lots of radiation, and the magnetosphere of the Earth, that also allows for you to use a compass, where the compass always points north. That is actually generating a big field around the Earth that's helping to protect the Earth from the sun's radiation. And then the Earth has a huge atmosphere. There's literally gallons of water between
Hmm.
you and the top of that atmosphere. That's all spread out as water vapor. Though both of those things you're missing on the moon. So the people on the moon will really need to be underground to protect them from this radiation that will likely increase their chances of getting cancer and other diseases. So definitely lots of challenges.
Yeah, I have observed one thing that if government and NASA and you must be knowing about ISRO,
Yes. Yes, in
and
fact,
then
I watched Mission Mongol. Is that what it's called? The one about the Israel
Mangalyaan,
Mongol. Yes.
Mangalyaan, yeah,
I've watched that movie just last week, I think.
yeah, and ISRO and NASA, they both are doing prominent work. And recently, like last year, I don't remember, like 2 years back or last year, ISRO has sent 104 satellites in the space. That was the amazing work done by ISRO, right? So I want to say that if these space center, like ISRO and NASA and government and other 16 countries which are participating in the space laboratory, right? They must create artificial atmosphere like moon has on the Earth. Like as you told that 200-degree the temperature and minus 150 when the shadow side of the moon, we create this kind of atmosphere here, artificial atmosphere, and then put the people, those who are interested, and we can make artificial vacuum over there, like and providing them the suits and everything, right? And watching all the people, put the people there, like whether they are able to cope up in this kind of atmosphere, like in this kind of place or not, for 1 day, 2 days, or 3 days, or 1 week, or more than 1 week. And we could get the people, those who are survival in this kind of atmosphere. We should send to those only, and they would be, when they would be moving to the moon, at that moment they would be able to do something for other people. They would be doing research because they have that kind of a stamina or capacity to live in this kind of atmosphere where they can tolerate the 200-degree temperature and one minus 150 temperature. The special suit is given to the astronauts. The same suit. I think that same suit would be given to the normal people. So
Yeah, they would have to
government,
have it. Uh,
so like government and like all the government and NASA and ISRO, they must do this kind of experiment. Or I don't know, like this kind of things is happening or not. We must be knowing about well about this.
well, we do have big vacuum chambers where they can take out all the air, to test the the suits, the capsules, and other things that they will be in. And there are places where they can do like the thermal testing as well to make sure that the vehicles and the suits are able to withstand those extreme temperatures. In terms of testing with people, I think the biggest challenge with people is going to be psychological. It's when you know that one little mistake can be the difference between disaster and life. That's like a constant pressure that's weighing on your mind. And whenever you're with like a small group of people in these highly stressful environments, sometimes it's really hard to keep everything stable. So I think psychology is going to be our biggest challenge.
Exactly. Everyone's life is precious, and we don't know that what a man can do. We cannot predict. We cannot say in the beginning. Maybe that person can search or invent or discover anything which could provide the life on the moon. So the people who'd be going to the moon, their life would be precious. So government should take care about these things before sending the people in the onto the moon.
Absolutely. And that's why testing and having backup systems and contingency plans, and also taking small steps and developing confidence is a key step, a key
Mhm.
part of the process. Just like learning English, you start out having kind of these canned conversations. Hi, hi, what's your name? My name is Bob. What's your
Mhm.
name? My name is Sally. And then you move on to more complex conversations like, did you know that NASA was planning to send people to the moon in 2024? So
Mhm.
there's like a progression like this.
Yeah, exactly. There, the same thing I have told you, that there must be some artificial chamber, like as you told that we have vacuums and capsules and all that. So it is also for the beginning, whether they are able to cope up in this kind of atmosphere or environment or not. So that would be helping, and the most important thing is that there should be a psychological test. If I am prepared mentally, I'm fully completely prepared from my mind that yeah, definitely I can survive on the moon. I can live there and I can do something. I can discover, or I can invent, or I can get the life in the moon. If I have that much of confidence and I'm fully prepared, mentally prepared, so I can do that, no matter whether your body would be coping up over there or not. If you are mentally prepared, you can do anything whichever you want to do. There are many disabled person in the world. They have achieved many things which a normal people cannot achieve.
I know I saw one person was missing an arm,
Yeah,
and he
both
was
arm and
able
both leg.
to pull up his entire body with his one hand. I
One
can't
hand.
even do that with two hands.
And there is also one coach and motivational coach, and he doesn't have both hand and both leg, and still he can swim. He can do everything. Like he's a coach, and he's motivational coach. He give presentation to the audience, and like he motivates the people who are normal. So why? Because he has prepared himself mentally. If your uh, self mental power is strong, if you have motivated yourself, if you have already suggested yourself that you can do, you can move to the moon. So you can survive over there. That would be easy. So government and NASA and ISRO or other countries, whatever they are searching the people, they must take a psychological test. They must get the people who are willing to move over there, like and we should also have some kind of test of, so that we can get the thinking process and the thought process of the person, decision making, this kind of thing. If like in the moon, if somebody has got some problem over there, so that moment how fast could he make the decisions. So this kind of things should be there. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's an interesting thing to point out. Most astronauts, whenever they have a problem in space, they actually don't solve the problem themselves. Instead, they radio down to the ground what the problem is, and there's engineers and technicians and people here on the ground that figure out the problem and then send back up the solution. Um, as we get further and further away from the Earth, those communication channels become more difficult to use and slower. And so that means that the astronaut has to be able to solve more and more of his or her problems.
Yeah, because when astronauts are in the space, at that moment their bones, their body, so everything gets some different kind of, they get a different kind of problem, right? So time and again they have to do some exercises for making or for refreshing the mind and body. So they have to do some workout, and their workouts are also different because they are floating over there, and there is no air, and like their hairs and the body everything is just moving. And how could they, like even they don't sit for the 6 month or 8 month, they don't sit, they never ever sit on the space.
That's right. They're just floating constantly.
So that is why they just do normal things like eating and drinking and brushing the teeth and combing hair, the normal things they are doing, and whatever they are told to perform over there, they just do that only. Because how could they think wearing a heavy suit and watching nothing? So they cannot get the idea what to do. Whatever they are told, they just do that.
They
So
definitely have
really
a.
very typical, it's a really very typical task to live in a space, and living in the moon, that's amazing and terrific. It would be terrific for the people who would be living.
So if it was safe and affordable, would you take a trip to space?
Yes, of course. Like it's a 2021, so I could prepare myself moving to the moon. 2 years are sufficient. My God,
Do you think
connection has stopped. Oh my God.
I can hear you though? Can you hear me? Oh, hello? Yes.
I'm sorry.
No worries. There's this new internet service that's in the process of coming out called Starlink. It'll be thousands of satellites around the Earth that will provide high-speed, low-latency connections around the globe. And I'm so looking forward to that becoming widely available because then having conversations like this around the world would be much easier.
Yeah, and do you know, like, suppose after 2024, and you are there, or I'll be there, or my any relatives or any friend would be there. So we'd be doing conversation like that, like living here and talking the person who's living in the moon and showing the snaps, photographs, and everything, zooming to the land of the moon, and we are watching like that would be amazing. Like, how could like be possible after 2024? Like, if this happen in reality, that would be amazing.
It would be.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate your time, and I'd like to get connected on Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter, and maybe figure out how to include more of your students in my
Mhm.
project. So, what's the best way to connect with you?
Okay, you can have my contact number. Where is chat box? Chat box is not there.
Um, Maybe you could just email it to me. My email address is
Just a minute. Just a minute. Let me. I could stop it. Yes, please tell me.
oh yes,
Yeah.
my email address is Nathan, Nathan dot Price, Price, at gmail.com.
Okay, I have your email ID, and you can have my contact number.
Okay,
Here are. Thank you.
well, I'll definitely connect with you. Thank you so much again for your
Thank you.
time, and
नमस्ते.
namaste ji.
ओके, उम्मीद है कि आपसे दोबारा मुलाकात होगी
We'll meet again. Firmilinge.
या फिर मिलेंगे. So that was amazing. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.